What's up, guys? We are back with another MOTU Origins review, taking a look at another of the new figures for the 2021 releases. We're taking a look at one of the first deluxe releases as well with Battle Armor Skeletor. So we've got Battle Armor He-Man, which I don't have yet, and Battle Armor Skeletor being the first two deluxe figures in the line, not vehicles or mounts or anything like that. So we've got a more robust Skeletor with a bunch more stuff, and then he also comes on a larger format card, so more of that kind of vintage style packaging as well. So you've got him there in the window, you've got a pack out of all of his accessories, and then you've got the larger lava burst motif background on the back, a shot of Skeletor on the front, and then on the back you've got some killer new artwork of Evil Lyn and Skeletor and Beastman with a demo of the Battle Armor feature, as well as a big cross-sell for Wave 3, and then the deluxe figures and Battle Cat and Panther. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Battle Armor Skeletor figure. So this guy is, very familiar territory for this line. There's really no surprises when it comes to this figure. If you've messed with one, you've pretty much messed with them all. And if you mess with Skeletor, you basically know what's going on with this version of Skeletor as well. Granted, we are, of course, going to run through Articulation just for the uninitiated. So you've got a head that can look up about yay far. He can look down a little bit too. You've got rotation, of course. There is a little bit of tilt, though, for some attitude. Arms go out at the shoulders, and then they, of course, rotate as well. My joints are pretty stiff at the shoulder so far. No real issues, but it's worth mentioning. You've got a single hinged rotating elbow. We've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. And then you've got your waist rotation there. We've got legs that go out. We'll talk about the play feature here in a bit. You've got legs that go out. They kick forward about that far. You can twist them a little bit to get them to go a little bit further. They go backwards a little bit as well. Not too much in terms of any kind of swivel. It's more of a bobble up there. You've got a single jointed rotating knee, of course. We've got our boot cut. And then you've got rocker, and you've got hinges down at those ankles. So pretty normal stuff for the line, not super articulated, but far better than the vintage line. So enough that you can get some pretty decent play out of him and get him into some poses without much muss or fuss. Now, as far as the overall look and feel on this guy, most of the figure really lies in the chest. Granted, he does have a new head sculpt, but the majority of this guy is the chest. I mean, it's the play feature. It's the fact that it makes him a different version of Skeletor. The rest of the body, the arms and the legs, are very familiar. They are the same thing that the other Skeletor comes with. There's nothing different there as far as your overall sculpt. I do think that there might be a little bit of color difference when it comes to the boots, like a minimal just like a grade higher or lower. I don't know which way I would go, honestly. But they do seem to be a touch different. Skin tones seem to match pretty well, though. It's all very consistent in that regard. But he does have a new head sculpt we can talk about to get that out of the way. And I do think it's pretty solid. It's obviously not as expressive as the one that comes on the regular Skeletor. And I'll do a comparison here in a bit. You can swap them if you feel the need. So if you want to give him the yelling face, you've got the option. But this is kind of a more grumpy face almost. So you've got like a scowl going on his face there. So the eyes are a little like beady. And then you've got a little bit of a frown going on with his overall expression. There is an extra head sculpt in there that kind of changes things up in the other direction where he is smiling. But I do think it looks pretty good. It's a specific kind of Skeletor, so I like the fact that at this point we have a handful of different heads, and of course you can swap them to suit your needs. So it's not maybe my preference of the three, because I do really like the one that came on the regular Skeletor, but I think this one works really well also. As far as the chest goes, I mean, I think it looks really good. There is a touch of kind of like metallic to this. It's got a little bit of a sparkle to it in certain ways. I'm not sure if that's going to come through or not, but it does seem to be a little metallic-y, which kind of makes sense for an armor aesthetic. You've got the harness on there, which is sculpted really nice, the skull in the middle. You do have a place on the back for the sword to put in there, so you can do a little weapon storage on this guy. And then we do have the disc chamber on the inside of the figure for the action feature. So of course, the vintage figure, you whack him and he will change from a clean chest to a broken chest to an even more broken chest piece. And then you've got the classics version that had swappable parts. since it didn't have action features. This guy goes back to action features though, so if you hit him or push in on the chest, you'll break it, and you've got one crack in it there, and then you've got a crack over top of that bat emblem, which is really well done. I mean, the green and the pink really clashes with the rest of the figure, so it stands out really well. And then you hit it again, it might take a little bit more force, and then you've got another crack in there as well, and then you've gotten nothing. So you can roll it back and you can reset him, and then you've got him back to 0. So he does look really good. I like the fact that we've got action features. I think it's really cool. It's fun to play around with, and it's just different. It's not something that we see a lot on modern toys anymore, so it's nice to kind of go back to the vintage days with action features and actually see them work pretty well with no problems. I've had no issues with this guy in terms of hitting those plates and making them move. It works really well. And then of course it's a nice recreation of the vintage idea in this very vintage inspired line. And then for a quick comparison, here is our new Battle Armor Skeletor with the regular Skeletor. And you can see, I mean, there's not really a lot to compare to here. They are mostly the same figure in many respects. Arms, legs, hands, feet, that whole thing. The crotch is the same, except this Skeletor, of course, has a belt, or a loincloth, rather, over top of it. The big difference are the head sculpts. I do really still like this head sculpt. And then the fact that, they've just got a different aesthetic. This is our regular one. This is our Battle Armor. And again, you can swap the heads, so it's all interchangeable. If you want to use the grumpy head or the smiling head on your regular Skeletor, you can. If you want to use the more evil screaming head on your Battle Armor figure, you can do that. So they look really good together. You can swap your parts if you want to, and they're going to represent two pretty iconic versions, I would say, of Skeletor in your Origins collection. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy is not just deluxe in the way that he has an action feature. He's deluxe in that he comes with extra stuff. So the first Skeletor just comes with the Havoc Staff and his half of the Power Sword. This guy comes with a couple extra things as well. The first of which is an extra head sculpt. And like I said, you've got the kind of grumpy Skeletor that's on him default in the package. You've got this sort of smiling Skeletor on him with the alternate head. I don't know that I'm really ever going to use this, but I'm always up for options. And this is definitely a weird option. So he certainly looks incredibly happy here. So you can have him waving, welcoming folks to Snake Mountain or whatever you want to do. So he's got an entirely different sculpt, different expression, and he's got a smile instead of a slight frown. So you've got two different ways to display Skeletor. This one's fine. It's not my preference. I'll probably stick with the grumpy one. And then we've got his Power Sword. So it's the same thing. It's a half sword, just like the regular Skeletor, so no full sword still. So you've got a purple sword. We've got a shield this time around with a Skeletor-esque skull on it. And this has more of that kind of like metallic flaking on it like his armor does. It's still kind of hard to pick up, but it is definitely there. And it's got the clamp on the back with the handle so he can hold it. And then you've got the Havoc Staff as well. So you've got the ram skull up there. And of course, he can hold all these just fine, no real issues there. But he does come with an extra hand as well. So in the box, you've got a gripping hand, and you've got the open palm hand that you would use with like the Power Sword, to slip it through that handle there. But you've got a swappable left hand with a grip on it. So if you wanted to have him holding the shield and the sword, or if you want to have him holding, the Havoc Staff and the sword, or the Havoc Staff and the shield, you've got options to be able to hold two of everything, basically, in any combination you want right out of the box, which I do like that aspect of it as well. So he does have a higher price point, but you get the action feature, and you get more accessories this time around, and I'm pretty happy with his overall pack out here. And then like with the rest of the line, we do have a mini comic for this figure. And this, of course, is a specific one. So it's Battle Armor Reborn. I'm not going to run through it to spoil anything, just to give you an idea of what he does come with. So you've got He-Man and Skeletor duking it out there on the cover. And then you've got your cross-sell on the back. I'm really happy that they're including these. It's just a cool little vintage callback. It's nice to see something like this. I'm enjoying reading them. They are really short, of course, but it is something that I like to see. And it's just a cool little pack-in. I'm never going to be unhappy seeing a mini comic in a MOTU figure. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this guy. There's not a whole lot to really complain about on this one, unless maybe you just don't like that extra head sculpt, or either of them. I've heard a lot of complaints about the head sculpts, but I'm happy with the grumpy one. I actually do like that one quite a bit. The happy one, I'm really not so sure how I'll utilize it, but I'm always up for the options. And then I like his overall pack out. He's got a solid set of accessories all around, from an extra head to a hand to 3 weapon type accessories. And then of course they actually included functioning action features, which I'm really happy about it. It's something that kids will like for those that are getting into this line. It's something that people who grew up with the vintage figures are going to like, and someone who just likes to be able to actually play around with figures and then do something. Myself, I will certainly enjoy that as well. So it's just a cool little aspect. It's very vintagey. It has a very 80s feel to it, and I'm very much happy with that. So yeah, I'm overall really happy with the direction that this line is taking, and I'm glad to see these more deluxe figures getting out there. So that's going to do it for this look at the MOTU Origins Battle Armor Skeletor. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.